making $500,000 in profit and paying zero taxes on it? Is that even possible? It is possible. But is this one of the best investing strategies in real estate right now? Let's get into it. First and foremost, thank you very much for watching this channel. I appreciate your support. If you are watching it without subscribing, please subscribe, because I'm putting out videos almost every day trying to educate you as a consumer about real estate here in Los Angeles. And your support motivates me and makes me want to do more videos like this one. So please subscribe and like this video. But let's get into it. So what is it that I'm talking about? $500,000 in profit and paying zero taxes? That sounds too good to be true, but it is true. So how exactly can you implement this strategy, and what is it that I'm talking about? A lot of the time I have a conversation with people that want to get into flipping here in Los Angeles. It is a competitive business. The margins are a little bit lower nowadays. So how do people still make money in it? Especially just getting into it without having a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, a lot of know-how on how this business functions. Well, there is a strategy that can actually reduce the amount of stress and increase your chances of success here. So let's talk about it a little bit deeper. Nowadays, the situation in the local market is such where the margins with flips are a little bit lower compared to where they were a couple of years ago. So for a regular flipper, it becomes a little bit more challenging, a little bit more difficult to turn profit on project. Obviously, labor costs keep rising, and that contributes to the difficulty of the flipping process here in California as well. And of course, the approval process and getting plans approved and permits received is still very, very difficult here in the state of California in general, and in Los Angeles in particular. So that contributes to the longer durations of flips if you want to do it right. The other element that contributes to difficulty of flipping nowadays is the fact that natural appreciation, which is the amount of money that you're making just by owning real estate, the amount of equity it's gaining. So in other words, how much your property has gained in value in this particular calendar year. So the amount of natural appreciation has gone down. If we're comparing this to the COVID years, sometimes natural appreciation during those years would be somewhere around 10, 15, sometimes even 20% here in Los Angeles County. Last year, we've seen a conservative growth of 2 to 4% on annualized basis. And this year, 2024, we're expecting somewhat of a similar figures as well, which means that for you as a flipper, amount of natural appreciation has gone much smaller compared to where it was, which means you can't speculate on this particular thing. So you need to make all of your money on a forced appreciation, on renovating property. So what do you do if you want to start investing in real estate, if you want to flip the property, but you're not particularly sure that the margin is big enough, you're not particularly sure that you would be able to do it in a very short amount of time, you're not particularly sure how to obtain all of the permits and how in particular this process works. So is there still hope for you? Yes, absolutely. And here's the strategy that I suggest to a lot of people that are just getting into this. This strategy is actually being subsidized by the government. So the government tells you, hey, please do this because we do want you to be a homeowner. Here's how it works. You purchase the property as a primary residence, which means that you claim and you intend to live in the property for the biggest part of the year. That's the primary residence for you. So you get the traditional loan, which allows you to have a lower down payment, which allows you to actually remain in the property and to live in it. Here, we need to mention that if you purchase the property with an intent of flipping it, the loan on that type of purchase a lot of the time would be different than a traditional 30-year loan. Which means that if you're buying the property and intending to flip it, a lot of the time you're gonna pay higher interest rate on your loan, and you're gonna pay higher origination fees, which means that your upfront cost in getting into this property is just gonna be higher. than purchasing the property that you intend to live in. So you buy the property with a traditional 30-year loan. Your origination fees, your costs are a little bit lower, which allows you to save a little bit more money and to keep them for the renovation of the property. If you really want to do it on a budget, and that's what I've seen done several times with my clients, you can actually move into this property and start renovating it room by room or project by project, but actually do a really good job and get the permits for the work you're doing. Do the work that's a little bit higher than the standard work you would see with the flips over here. Don't be in a rush and actually do an amazing job with the materials that you're using, with the ideas that you're implementing when you renovate the property. And you don't have to be in a rush, because the government tells you that you need to live in a property for over 2 years in order for that strategy to work, in order for you to actually qualify for the exempt and to be sure that you're not going to be paying any taxes. Living in this property while it's being renovated might be uncomfortable, but that will actually allow you to make sure that the work that's being done on the house is being done up to par. It's being done to the standard that you are setting up, the very, very high standard. Because if anything changes with the real estate market, if we see any difficulty with properties being sold, the ones that are going to be sitting on the market are going to be the ones that were done in a bad manner. The properties that are good, the properties that have been renovated well and done well, will always sell, simply because there is a lot of demand for this type of product. You have to live in this property for at least 2 years, and that has to be your primary residence for at least 2 years before you can sell it, not pay taxes for the capital gains. If you're a single man, you're not going to pay taxes, man or woman, you're not going to pay taxes up to $250,000, which means that if you buy a house for $1 million, sell it for $1.25 million, you will pay 0 taxes if you implement this strategy. If you are a married person, you don't have to pay taxes up to 500 grand, which means that you can buy a house for $1 million, sell it for 1.5 million, make $500,000 on that particular deal and pay 0 taxes if you implement this strategy. This is absolutely incredible strategy that the government encourages you to do. The government encourages you to be a homeowner, not a flipper. And especially if you're just getting in a game of flipping, if you're just getting in a game of renovation, this is an incredible opportunity for you to do it right. You will be living in this property, so you will be able to oversee the process and learn a lot from it. On the top of that, you're not going to be pressed against the wall with the time frames. You would be able to do things a little bit slower. But this way, being able to adjust to contractor schedule, a lot of the time you will benefit out of it by being able to negotiate lower prices, because you don't need this project to be done today. You could wait for another week or 2 until the contractor will free up and will be able to offer you a better price. You can implement this strategy every 2 years. Imagine what it can do for your wealth. If every 2 years you could realize a profit, $200,000, $300,000, up to $500,000, take that money together with equity that you've made, together with all of your investment in this property, sell it, realize the profit, don't pay taxes on it, and you could use that as a down payment and as the construction fund, as the money that you will be using to renovate another property in 2 years. This is an incredible strategy that everybody needs to know about. Even if you're not interested in flipping properties, this is a great wealth building tool, especially when you're just getting started with real estate, especially when it's just your first property here in Los Angeles. This is the tool that will allow a regular person like you and me to build our equity and to build our wealth. And that's going to be done through real estate with the minimum amount of risk. So please implement it. But if you're interested in other strategies, like this video, make sure you subscribe, because that allows me to create more videos, that motivates me, that tells me that you guys are watching. And ask your questions in the comments down below. I would be happy to answer them, either as a comment or maybe as a separate video.